These are 5 books/series that you need to start this year. First up, we're going to start with none other than Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. This is an absolute blast of a book. It has humor, dark humor, animal companions. It's phenomenal, okay? This is the lit RPG genre at its absolute peak, its best. This has amazing characters. If you like audiobooks, the narrator for this is insane. He is so good. He voices all these different characters, and it's unbelievable the amount of work that this guy puts in for this book. Dungeon Crawler Carl is absolutely amazing. It'll break you out of a slump if you're in one. You will laugh your ass off, I promise. If you have not started Dungeon Crawler Carl, you need to. Please do yourself a favor. If you love yourself, you will start the series. Next, we've got Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is absolutely amazing sci-fi. This series in general is so good. This author does not care about you or your feelings, and he has no problem destroying you emotionally. These books have made me feel so many different types of ways. I love this series. I absolutely cannot wait for book 7. If you have not started Red Rising, please do yourself a favor and start immediately. Next up, I'm cheating a little bit. Way of Kings / Mistborn. Now, I say this because if you have not been reading fantasy for a long time, I do not recommend you start with The Way of Kings. This is very epic high fantasy, but it is a lot. This is a lot for a person getting into books, getting into fantasy for the first time. So that is why I give it the caveat that if you have not been reading fantasy and you want to get into fantasy, then I recommend Mistborn. Mistborn is fast-paced. It is not as chunky as the Stormlight Archive in general. It is a phenomenal book. It has an absolutely, completely unique magic system that is so simple, so amazing. It's crazy that, or something like this magic system, like Brandon Sanderson's a genius. This series is amazing. This is so good. If you are into fantasy and you have been reading for a bit, then I highly recommend the Stormlight Archive. The world building, the character development, the characters themselves, gigantic 6-foot shard blades. This series is awesome. You will love this if you are a lover of fantasy, and I highly recommend you either start this or Mistborn as soon as you possibly can, or even both. The Rage of Dragons. This is an absolutely amazing African-inspired fantasy. It is incredibly high octane. It is fast-paced. It is brutal. Fight scenes are amazing. This is so fun to read, and you cannot help but root for the main character, Tal, in this. If you haven't started this yet, please do yourself a favor and do so. This series is so good, and you won't regret it. Book 3 should be coming out sometime this year. I love this series so much. I cannot wait for book 3. And a top 5 would not be complete without John Gwynne, Malice, The Faithful, and The Fallen series. I love this series so much. This is high and epic fantasy at its best. It has so many of those wonderful fantasy tropes that you come to love and expect in fantasy. It's got the chosen one, it's good versus evil, it's found family, it's multiple POV, it's got epic, and I mean epic battle scenes. John Gwynne is an absolute master at battle scenes. In his personal life, he does this type of stuff. He does shield walls, he fights, he does these things. So he has such an intricate knowledge, and it is very apparent that he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. It has epic battle scenes. It has you feeling all kinds of emotions. I love this series. Book 3, Ruin, is my absolute favorite. So if you have not started John Gwynne, if you have not started The Faithful and the Fallen, please check this out. I promise you, for any of these 5 books, you will not regret it. And I highly recommend you come back and you tell me if you love these series or not. If I disappoint you, I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. I promise that you will love these books. These are so good. Start your 2025 off right. Start with one of these series. You will not be disappointed.